bleeding the clutch, and it's rock hard, like rock hard, to the point where I just broke the clutch master cylinder trying to press it down, which sucks, but it is what it is. So either that clutch pressure plate in there is junk, or the throwout bearing is junk, which the throwout bearing part isn't a big deal because I have, you know, brand new ones on tap. Cute little bear my kid got me for Father's Day. So I might have to take the transmission back out. I think before I do that, I might pop the starter out and put an inspection camera in there. I really need to just drill a hole somewhere so I have an inspection port. But get a camera in there and look at the throwout bearing and see. It's like rock hard. I can't imagine the clutch itself would cause that, only because it does not move at all. Unless the springs are broken, which again, I can't imagine that. So I gotta play around with that. If I gotta pull the transmission back out, then I gotta pull the transmission back out. Not that big a deal, except it is, because the whole damn thing has to come back out. I love cars. It's the next day. I just finished getting that car all back together, waiting for somebody to come help me bleed the clutch. Racked my brain on the clutch issue on this all night. Unfortunately, the only recourse I have is I need to take the starter out probably and get a camera in there and see if the slave cylinder is moving. If it's moving, that tells me we have a clutch pressure plate problem. If the slave isn't moving, then we probably have a slave cylinder problem. Unfortunately, I have to wait for our clutch master cylinder to get here because I literally broke with this one because I pushed down on the pedal so hard the hydraulic pressure built up and it just went pop. I'll show you the damage of that in a minute, but it's really gonna suck no matter what the problem is because it means the transmission's got to come out of this. But I want to be able to see the issue before taking everything out, because once this is out, it's going to be really hard to get any hydraulic pressure in there, and then I don't want to replace the slave and it ends up being the clutch cover, and then I also don't want to replace the clutch cover and then it ends up being the slave. I could replace both, but I'd rather figure out what the actual issue is so that down the road, if we have it again, we know what it is. But those are the two things that it could be. It's definitely not the master because it's definitely making hydraulic pressure, so it's definitely something going on in there. But I do love my clutch upgrade because that thing took like 10 minutes to actually bleed to build the hydraulic pressure up. Nice big bleeder on like that little messed up thing that Nissan uses from the factory. So I'm going to pop the starter out. The clutch master should be here soon, AutoZone said. I just got a Dorman one. That's all that I could get. And then we'll have to pressure it up a little bit and see what's happening in there. I am going to preemptively reach out to the company we got that clutch from again. This is just some cheap clutch. We've never used it before, but it was a lot lighter than what we had before. I'm going to reach out to them and see, hey, can you send me another pressure plate just in case so I can get the ball rolling? Because now I got to get this thing out of here because this was supposed to be out of here so I get another car in so I get some more work done. And now this is kind of just sitting here, and you know, I could take it off the jack stands and all that stuff, but I'd rather drive it out of here so that I can go park it somewhere instead of it just sitting in the middle of my driveway, because right now the middle of my driveway is just a wreck. This thing getting out of here today so I can get that Z in here, and I'm getting the Z running next week. That's like the plan. All right, so well, I'm waiting for the master cylinder to show up, and I'm waiting for somebody to show up to help me bleed the clutch on the hood of the car. I figure I'll come in here, we'll do one more warm up on it, dial in the idle a little bit, and then I'll do a compression test after it does this heat cycle. So it's starting to warm up now. This will also let me finally check the coolant pressure. The sensor's working right now. There is no pressure built up according to that. We'll see if that's accurate. Oil pressure is fantastic. So I'll let it warm up a little bit. Get to operating temp, about 180 degrees. This thing revs so fast, it's so snappy. I did get an exhaust evacuation system set up, which is nice, but so part of me's thinking the coolant pressure isn't working. It's reading at 0 right now, which is a little weird. Should be reading something. So yeah, I'll do a compression test and I'll show you guys the results on that, because we'll have 2 warm-up cycles on it, which should be enough so that we can start actually putting power through it as soon as we figure out this clutch issue. So the coolant pressure sensor is working. I just squeezed the tube and it started building pressure, and now we're starting to see that rise. That'll go up a lot more as the car gets hotter. But once we get to about 180-degree engine temp, I'm gonna shut her down. But it's running great. Cylinder 1, 160-ish, 165-ish, something like that. Cylinder 2, 170-ish, 65-ish. A little low, like 145, 150, and 150. So I'm gonna compare these numbers now to when the engine was freshly put together with no temperature in it, and see where we're at. So looking back, these numbers make sense. These 2 were reading unbroken in and cold a little bit lower than the other 2 by roughly the same amount. So I'm going to call that good. It's within, almost within a 10% margin, I believe. So we should be good to go. These numbers with the car worn and only slightly broken in make sense. After we do a couple pulls on the dyno, we'll test them again and see where we're at. But I'm gonna put that all back together. So that'll be done. So really now we're just waiting on doing this clutch thing, which I might just pull the starter out right now to get ahead of that game. I know the transmission's going to come out. I'm kind of just delaying the inevitable by just not doing it, but I really do want to see what it's doing before we start taking stuff apart. Not sure how well this is going to show up on camera. It's like cam reception. So that is the throwout bearing. That is the clutch pressure plate. I'm going to try to turn this without moving the camera because I only got one hand. You can see the throwout bearing is moving with the pressure plate. So this might be a pressure plate problem, because the thinking is if the throwout bearing is like fully extended, then it won't push out, which is going to make the hydraulics hard as a rock because there's nowhere for it to go. So the thinking is the clutch forks might not be compressing. So as soon as I get the the master cylinder in, we can confirm that theory and then get another clutch for this thing. So a few bloody knuckles later, got the master cylinder swapped out. You can see what I was talking about. Blew the whole entire side of that off. So I gotta just bleed some of the air out of the system, which I have the cap off right now so that it will do that a little bit by itself. And then I gotta just bleed a little bit by pumping it. I'll fire the camera up and see what's going on in there. So I'm gonna put a video clip of this, just put this 55,000 mile used engine in here, and it's junk right out of the box. Sounds like it's got valve trains falling out of it. So we're gonna go back to this. So I got the camera set up, I got that in there. I'm gonna get the clutch pressurized a little bit, and then I'll see if I can get the camera inside the car with me to look and see what's going on. I'm not sure if I'm gonna have enough length on it, but we'll try. Okay, so I think there's something going on with the slave cylinder. Just bled it, pressed down on it so hard it broke the master again. None of this even looked like it was moving, so I think the slave might be the issue, which is nuts since that's pretty new. So I'm gonna take the transmission out and replace that and see where we're at, and apparently get another master cylinder. Oh, it's been a great day. It's been a great day.